This is the frame for my runner beans. It's made out of 50mm square tannerised timber. The cross piece at the top is 3 foot wide, and the one down the bottom is just 2 foot wide, and into the ground I knock a meter post. This is quite firm and easy to remove. The side pieces that the canes are fastened to is again tannerised timber. This is bolted into place, and the canes, when they are put into position, are held there with a cable tie. I only have these few in at the moment just to keep it steady throughout the winter while the ground settles. But with 40 canes along each side, this is quite a strong structure, and as I've already said, very easy to remove. This morning I'm going to start getting my trench ready for my broad beans. My little cultivator will soon make short work of this job. Now with the spade, that soil is very easy to just move out of the way. In the bottom of this I shall put either spent hops or manure, depending on which we have on the site when I've finished. There we are, just a few minutes, marvellous little tool. It's winter, but there are still jobs that can be done on the plot. This morning I'm just going to loosen up the compost that I put in my potato drums. These were filled up in September, and I like to keep it turned over, helps it to rot, and it only takes a few minutes, but it's a job that needs to be done. And oh, still got a few worms. Just takes a few minutes, stops the weeds growing on it, mixes it up a little bit, helps it to rot. And by April this should be fine for planting my potatoes. Just cover it over again now. That should encourage the worms to stay near the top and do a bit of work, and help me for when April gets here. Another job that can be done in the winter, this is my celery trench. This year I'm growing it in these flourish buckets. I've taken the bottoms out of them, dug a trench out underneath, filled it with manure, and now I've just got them all in place. This is a job you can do at home, cut the bottoms out of these, take them home, do them in the garage in the warm. I'm trying this idea. It's easier for me to get down to the sticks of celery, and I'm hoping by putting a band of grease around the top edge of the pots it will keep the slugs away. Another job I like to get done early in the year, or late in the year in this case, is my brassica bed. This was first cleared off at the start of October, and as you can see, not many weeds. There are just the odd few, but I'm quite happy with that. Now I'll put these lines down because this is where I'm actually going to sow my rows of brassicas. Either side of this string line I will add perchlor when the season's ready. This saves adding fertiliser to the whole ground, which I think is just a waste of fertiliser if you're only putting it where you're going to walk on it. This is my onion bed, all prepared, ready for next year. See, I've got a few feathers on the top of this. This is some pigeon manure I had given to me, but they'll go in and add. Few worms still active. This should be quite good by April when it's time to plant out my large onions. Before doing that, I will have this soil analysed, tell the guy that I want to grow onions, and he'll recommend what fertilisers, lime, etc. I need to add to the soil. This is something else I shall be doing over the next 3 months. Preparing my own compost for growing my potatoes in polypots. I pass it to a rather coarse griddle and store it in these bags. As you can see, this is quite good compost. Salt I made myself. I will add potato fertiliser to it before I use it. I pass it through a sieve so that I get all the lumps out, bits of sticks that haven't rotted down, and obviously cover it up before moving it. I need about 600 litres of this, so it is going to be an ongoing job for the next 3 months. I have to fill my barrel of compost and then put it somewhere for it to dry a little bit so that it will pass through the riddles. This is something that really can only be done during the winter. I grow my tomatoes on an old-fashioned method, ring culture. Basically, the bowls that are down here are filled with pea gravel. I then stand a bottomless pot on the top with my compost in and grow the tomato. The idea, you feed the pot and water the gravel. This way I know my tomatoes are never going to go short of water if I cannot get down to the allotment for any reason. Another advantage of this is every winter I can bring these bowls outside and I add water and Armilotox to fill the bowl up, a 200 to 1 dilution. Then I'll leave them out in the rain, and the rain keeps flooding the bowls, which is removing the salt that built up from the fertilisers over the year. If left, these salt would eventually be like a poison to the tomatoes. You can see that bowl there is completely clean now. The gravel has been tipped out into my sieve and it will now sit there for a few days, and hopefully the rain will wash the rest of the soil out that's left in from my pots. I will do this again to the others, as I only have one sieve and one bucket at the moment. Something else I like to do before the weather gets really bad is to get some chippings down on my path. This not only keeps my shoes clean, but it also prevents me from slipping over when things start to get really wet. Doesn't take long to do it, and at this time of the year there's not many weeds going to appear in it. The only problem is the foxes like digging into it looking for worms and slugs, but if they're eating slugs I'm not bothered.